This episode of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live is brought to you in part by Viewfinder's Identity Search and Design. Your choice for web design, graphic design, and all multimedia development needs. Visit VFISAD.com and let us bring your vision to reality.
This is Tom Gibbous, the voice of Shikamaru Nara from Naruto, and you are listening to A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live, and it's not a drag.
It's time. Talk time. Let's go. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Live. Started in the 80s with Matt Cross. Dudes in the hood might have called that soft, but I carried that cross like Jesus did. Fast forward, I teach the kids to learn how to let go, live life, and show love to all things that don't matter where y'all from. And luckily, there's a show called Talk Time. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Dax kicks the facts on all the geek news, special guests and unbiased reviews. Suburban kids, the hipster street dudes, all can learn something new. Me too. I heard words when no faith is empty. I stayed the course so my haters tempt me. Beat the podcast, that'll make them envy. It ain't too trendy, it's A.C.M.G. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games that come on and let's get it. Talk time. Live.
Everybody, and welcome back to the journal of my life that covers all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live, the Prime Show. I am your host, Xavier Josiah. I hope everybody is actually safe as they can be. We're going through some really crazy times here. No stranger to the current events right now. This is COVID-19 country right now, and it's getting crazy out here. Let me tell you how crazy. I mean, because I am, partially media to some extent as well. Much like other people in the media who reports things that's going on. I had trouble, as well, because lo and behold, if you're wondering why I'm doing this Prime episode and I didn't do a Select Start episode, which I was doing, and I actually still have it on file archived, but I decided not to post it. And the reason for that is that because there was so much information going on and changing rapidly that it was by the time I finished that episode, it was irrelevant because of the events, because mostly it was covering the COVID-19 situation and how it was affecting the gaming industry, and especially E3, because as you guys know, E3, even though they're going to be out for 3 months, they won't be around till 3 months in June. They decided to actually cancel their event all around. I don't know if it's due to a lot of the other exhibitors backing down or whatnot, but what it's done is that it just completely stopped it completely. And then you're asking yourselves as fans, as consumers, as people who paid all that money to get these tickets early and the plane tickets ready and the hotel stay ready, like what do they know that we don't? So I was going to talk about that because that was the biggest thing at the time. Then, lo and behold, the NBA completely cancels their season. Then followed by that, all these other places started. Everybody except for UFC, and the WWE, who aired their own empty arena shows just recently, have canceled their events. This is going so crazy, and I don't think people understand. I think there's certain people who don't understand the severity of the situation, or they do and they're going crazy. What's been going on right now is that there's a lack of information out there, and there's misinformation being used. Part of it is based on the fact that those who are involved in it aren't telling everybody everything that we need to know. They're just holding some information, they're telling some information, and because of that, people out there are going crazy. I mean, if you put stock in Charmin tissues, in Charmin, or any of those toilet paper companies, that company is going to make bank. That's the only companies that are going to be making bank from here. Everybody else is going through an insane loss right now due to this event, and there's a possible recession that could happen, possibly. A lot of people are losing money right now, whether you're an independent contractor or you're in the entertainment world or whatnot, or you own a promotion. People are losing money because of this thing. They shut down everybody, as you know. So things went so rapid. It was no point of me even doing that episode because things have changed. The information is it just dramatically changed so much in the course of a few hours. So I just decided to go off here and just come on this show to talk about some of the stuff that I was going to talk about on air, but other things we're going to talk about as well. So we are going to talk about the COVID-19 situation and how it affects certain aspects in our favorite fandoms. But then we're going to turn on another picture because our talk topic today, in celebration of Spawn coming out this Tuesday for Mortal Kombat 11, I decided to look back and watch the first three, not even the first, the entire series of Spawn that was on HBO, Todd McFarlane's Spawn. And we're going to look back at that, because that was a game-changing series that I don't think people, myself included, have not really gave its, respect and praise. That, I mean, still to this day, that there's things about that show that was airing on HBO and it was all rated R. That show kind of revolutionized a lot of what we're seeing today. And still, there's what we see today isn't nearly as gratuitous as what we see in that series. It is hardcore. Still to this day, it still holds up. Like, I was so engaged to watch that again for the first time in years, and it's available on Amazon Prime. Who doesn't have Amazon Prime right now? Or so you got Amazon Prime. That means you also got access to Amazon Video, and that's there as part of the package as well. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to get down to some news. I mean, by the way, I forgot to mention that the reason why we're going to be covering that as a talk topic is because the original talk topic this week was going to be Bloodshot with Vin Diesel, because I was going to go to the movies to see that, but in the midst of everything, all theaters are closed down. All stuff is, it's going to be a ghost town for a bit. Social distancing is going to be the thing, and I tell you what, that is an interesting thing. I actually went out to get some bare essentials, some last minute essentials for the house, and by the way, we got toilet paper too. It wasn't all emptied out and where we're at. So thank goodness. That means people have some sort of sanity going on here. Nobody's fighting for some stupid toilet paper. It's ridiculous. But upon doing that, they say that you got to keep social distancing 6 feet away. That's not as easy as you think. I've literally felt like I was going through the Pac-Man maze and trying to avoid Ghost. Or Ghost trying to avoid me because I ate a pellet that could have exposed them or something like that. It's like, it's so crazy to try to maneuver. Kids over here, got to go this way. The other person's here with the dog, got to go this way. It's really, it's not as easy as you think it is. So, and the more people, the worse. So, luckily it wasn't that many people out there, but it was an interesting thing. But yeah, so that's the reason why we're going to be covering Spawn, because there's really, and going down the line, there probably won't be as much news as we're going to like to have on this show, because with everything being shut down, nobody's going to be doing anything. So we won't have time to actually be able to talk about what's going on in the world, what's new in the world of A.C.M.G, because the COVID-19 situation is shutting everything down. We're going to talk about that in our next topic. So let's not waste any time. Let's find out what's new in the world of A.C.M.G.
And now it's time to find out what's new in the world of A.C.M.G.
All right, folks, I got a lot of news to talk about in this segment, but I want to start off by talking about some news that just came about a little over 24 hours ago, and I thought this was a really kind gesture by none other than Disney themselves. And the reason why I'm going to say that because there was a discussion when I posted this on the A.C.M.G Facebook group that I'm going to talk about as well by some cynical people in the group that didn't feel otherwise, and I'm going to explain why that's not the case. But Disney took it upon themselves to do a soft promotion announcing that they are going to release Frozen 2 early on Disney Plus in the wake of COVID-19. They did this just out of I'll even say partially out of the kindness of their heart to help people who are contained in their house, whether they have the coronavirus or they just quarantined in just to keep preventing that have the coronavirus, and they have kids that may be going hysterical and, cabin feverish or whatever. They felt a good idea would have been to, give them Frozen 2 3 months early of their release. This wasn't supposed to be released 3 months early. Now, and I say soft promotion, if you don't know what that is, soft promotion is just, a promotion that is not really amazingly hyped. It's not extremely hyped at all. There's no big marketing or promotion strategy to it. It's just like, we're going to let you guys know that you're going to do it in the smallest way possible. They did this. And even though the media did pick it up, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of reasons. They kind of lost more than they gained by doing this. So if they had 3 months to do it, you don't think that they were going to actually have a huge announcement that this was coming to Disney Plus, that this movie that made over 1.42 billion, is it? It's like 1.446 billion US dollars. It made, which by the way is about a little over 20 million more than the first movie. It made a ton of cash on the first time that they aired this in the theaters. So by soft promoting this, they lose out on subscribers, especially during this time, because we don't know what's going to happen during this situation with COVID-19. And a lot of people are saying recession. Stocks have gone down at the time since then, and we don't know what's going to happen in this 2-week ban period of things and whatever. It could go on for longer, it could not. But Disney took it upon themselves to say, we're going to give them this now. We're not going to make a big deal out of it, but we want people to be calm in this situation. We want people to feel at ease in the situation. What better way to do it for their kids than to give Frozen 2? I thought this was a really kind gesture. And like I said, you think if none of this happened with the COVID-19 pandemic, they would have had, I guarantee you, I will put money on it. As a person who does a lot of marketing and promotion himself, I will put money on it that if none of this happened, that we would have got this huge promotional campaign about Frozen 2 coming to Disney Plus to get more subscribers in. The problem is we got people who absolutely thinks for some reason that Disney Plus is going to gain more viewers, more subscriptions from this. I don't think that's the case. I do not think that's the case. This soft promotion doesn't help them in a situation like that. Like if they did this on a normal basis, they wouldn't make it wouldn't get any subscriptions. It would not get any subscription ships. I would be surprised if I'm sure they'll get some subscriptions to this, but in hindsight, a lot of people out there are more probably thinking of, is there going to be a recession? Do I have the bare essentials for the house? And, if anything, toilet paper is making more money than these streaming networks, than these promotions, than these wrestling and combat sports companies. Nobody is making money. There's so many people losing money right now than gaining. Disney Plus even before all this was at a loss. If you look at their quarterly reports, they've actually lost more than they gained from doing the Disney Plus. And so giving this away without any major promotion, that's kind of a loss. So they took the bullet here, and they decided like this is more important. I feel like that they decided it was more important for them to do to make sure everything is happy. Now, granted, it may not be altruistic. I don't think it's all altruistic. I think that, yeah, there is a method. They're losing money or possible subscribers coming to their, I mean, I'm sure they'll get a percentage, but not a really huge percentage of subscribers to this. I would really be surprised. Like if I see people subscribing to Disney Plus or getting merchandise and all this stuff, we got a problem. There's a problem with America right now. I really don't think that that's the case. I think they're catering to the people who have it right now. I think that they want to make sure everybody's fine. But what they're doing, the strategy here, I believe that they're doing is imprinting, because that's something that I've done myself. There are things that you could do, even though they've done this and they may not be expecting much. The imprint is the media covering this and talking about it, considering what they've done. And this can be looked back at as like Disney is, from a morale standpoint, that Disney is a really good company that is really looking out for their fans, as they should, because that's the Disney way. That's always been Disney. That's classic vintage Disney. And I thought this was a really kind gesture on their part, because they are sacrificing a opportunity to promote this big to get more subscribers. So a lot of people think, it's coin. One person said like comfort, because I put on a post, I'm like, leave it to Disney to bring comfort during chaos. And one of our, members was like, LOL, comfort for us, coin for them. No, new subscribers will come in droves. That is the biggest misconception of this whole thing. This is so, nobody's going to be thinking about paying for a streaming network if they don't know within 2 weeks that they're going to be still working, and if we're going to have a recession. That's not going to be the case. There is no guarantee for that. There's absolutely no guarantees to that. So it's honestly, it's something that I think that we have it's a problem right now that people need to understand. That the problem, and the problem is, like I said it just recently, like, the internet truly exposes people intelligence in situations. I mean, that's one of those situations where you're just assuming that something is going to happen. That you're assuming that this is how things work. It's not that clear cut. It is nowhere near that clear cut. You got to also consider like a soft promotion for a movie that brought in over $1 billion. That's a loss. They're losing a major promotion and marketing for this. It's just no way. There's no way. I will write this off as a kind gesture. You got to also think like in this situation, it's so dire. They're asking, the government is asking for companies to give 2 weeks pay for people who cannot make it to work. If this virus does not get handled properly, this can go on for like at least 2 months. That's a big loss in our country right now as far as economically. The last thing you're going to be doing is paying for a streaming network or investing in a streaming network. It just won't happen. So I cannot stress how that is. I truly believe it is not the case. There was something else that somebody said on here too. Oh, another member was like, my daughter loves this, but drop Falcon and the Winter Soldier early, and I'll be more impressed. And let me remind people that the Falcon and Winter Soldier isn't due out till like August. So, which means they're still filming right now, which means there is a possibility that studio shut down right now due to the fact, and we may actually get a delay in that show and other shows as well. So you gotta think about the situation at hand. You can't just openly say like, "Oh well, they're going to do this." Oh, that just shows the lack of experience somebody has in the situation, or lack of education that somebody has in that in that particular situation. It's not that open, and shut. It's not that black and white. There are a lot of factors that go into these situations. So this is the part where people need to, like, if they want to know if people want to be smart, they gotta do what is needed to be smart. If they want to be considered intelligent, you have to do intelligent things. And there's times like this where I believe that, like, this is why information is very important and vital. And what we know about this COVID-19 situation, the better. And there's just so many bad decisions that's been made by companies and the government in regards to this, whether it's from not telling us what's really going on and how can we handle this or how should we handle this, to companies, canceling things like just hours away. We talked about this with NetherRealm doing that for the Final Combat, tournament that people flew in to go see. And then hours behind that, they put it on pause. And I can understand why people are so pissed off at him for that. I just heard that Scott Coker just actually canceled Scott Coker is I believe he's the owner of, or he's the CEO of, or president of Bellator, if I'm correct. But he used to be for Strikeforce in Elite FC, the mixed martial arts company. But I heard he just canceled like hours away. They were going to do empty arena, and then he just decided to stop it cold turkey and just cancel the entire event. Now, no idea what that was about. I wonder if somebody actually contracted with the disease, and they was like, no, we can't do it anyway. It's officially, we can't do it. So people are actually, it's just so bad. It is so bad right now. Not only that, we got the CW shutting down its production for both The Flash and Riverdale due to the COVID-19 situation, and I believe it was said that somebody in their studio tested positive for it, so they completely just shut down in the wake of that. And that's all up in Canada, I believe. New Mutants, once again, being delayed because of COVID-19. They were supposed to come out, I think, next month. So that's going to be delayed too, and rightfully so. Any movie that comes out right now needs to be delayed because, like I say, I was supposed to go to the movies to see Bloodshot. Bloodshot is not going to be making any money, unfortunately, and I don't know if they're going to delay that or what's going to happen with that movie. But that movie, it couldn't have been. I feel so bad for Vin Diesel. Whether it was good or not, I don't know. But it couldn't have been a worse time for this to happen to anybody. I mean, like, it's just so horrible. I really feel genuinely bad for that situation. Speaking of him, Fast and the Furious 9 production also delayed for almost a year. So looks like we won't be getting that anytime soon as well. So, I mean, and there's plenty more movies that may be jumping. Here's the thing. I have a solution for this, and this could be the case down the line, but there's a possibility that if this keeps up, if this go down the line, maybe 2, 3 months, 4 months down the line, they don't, because they're saying like we won't get a vaccine for at least a year at best, but we still have to find a way to, doctor it up. There are ways that we could do it. It said it lasts 14 days, depending on the age of the immune system or whatnot. So, and then we got to count how the seasons change once the summer come in. How will that affect it? Will it be a decrease in people contracted with the disease? So, excuse me. And that's not a call for me having it either. I'm just going through it. But, and trust me, I do not have it because I've been quarantined and I work at home. So I'm trying to prevent the best way of not getting contracted with this. So even if I cough, it's not like a big deal. But, and it's most likely for me talking too much to the point. But, I hopefully the idea that I think will come of this is that if they have a new movie come out, they might have to probably get some type of money out of this to just stream it on demand, or for cable and stuff like that, maybe that might be the best solution to go about it, because I think they can still make somewhat bank. Like if it goes to by the time that May comes in and Black Widow comes out, I would think it'd be a good idea to that will be absolutely the best idea for Disney Plus, to put that immediately on Disney Plus, and that will get more subscribers. Guarantee you that right there. Not Frozen 2. I think that will get more subscribers, even if it's for one day. That will be absolutely great. Even if it's for temporary. If you get it for a temporary amount of time, like say like maybe a few months, you get it, and it'll get them a little bit more bank for them for that moment in time, and after a month they take it away and then bring it back down the line. That will be so much better. That would be so much better if they do that. So there are ways to get around that. We'll see how that goes. It just depends on how long this is going to take to do. So, other things in regards to that in the world of gaming, NVIDIA, who is the company that creates all sorts of, I believe they create a lot of graphic cards for our PCs and such like that. Well, they're calling on the gaming PC community to put their systems to work fighting COVID-19. I'm sorry. According to an article on GamesRadar.com, the company wants you to download the Finding for at Home app, and I believe I did do this way back in the PS3 era during the SARS situation. Folding at Home is an app that I believe helps gather data around the world for situations like this to help, fight the situation better. I don't know how exactly that algorithm works, but it did help out, I believe, at the time when the SARS came out. So they want people to download the app on PC, and mostly for those people who have gaming PCs and not regular PCs. But the laptops, gaming towers or laptops that are geared for gaming, which links computers into an international network that uses distributed processing power to chew through massive computer tasks. You will have the ability to turn off the app and reclaim your GPU's power for playing games whenever you want. But when you're not playing, you can use it to actually help gather the information worldwide there. Like I said, this is not the first time they've done this. They did this research during the SARS-CoV virus era, and at the time, I believe I did this for PS3, so it may have some good use. And no word on whether it will be on the current gen systems like Xbox One or PS4. I don't think it will ever be on maybe Stadia possibly can do this as well, since it's an online based format. But PlayStation and Xbox should have that capability in there as well. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to allow folks who feel restless or stressful or have stressors, wondering what they can do to help or to keep them from going crazy and over this and become more constructive in the process. So I want to give a big thanks to Ray Wagorner for actually sending me that. I thought that was some really cool information. So continue with the gaming news here, and this is some news that I was going to talk about on Select Start. And again, with this news, I don't know how well this is going to affect the situations now, because this is pre-COVID-19 quarantine time. So, former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé joins GameStop as one of their board of directors, which is a huge asset for GameStop. I mean, as any gamer knows, Reggie, it was a big deal for Nintendo of America. He just was, just as a personality and as just a benefactor and idealist to help them bring more attention to that company. So during their quarterly finance meeting, GameStop reported losses. Boy, if they got losses back then, I can't even imagine what they're about to get now. I don't know what this is going to do. But they had losses even back then due to digital sales and online retailers like Amazon. So, man, God, they're going to take a hit. They're going to take a hit. I'm looking at these notes now, and I'm like, Oh man, this is crazy. IGN.com has reported that GameStop has also experimenting on creating experimental stores in the areas like Tulsa, Oklahoma, where you can have more engaging experience when coming into the stores, such as tabletop game stations and online game areas, docking areas where you can people can play certain games while also being able to buy games and other products as well. Along with FISMA, it will be retail business exec Bill Simon and PetSmart CEO J.K. Simzik. If I'm saying that correctly, which I'm probably not, butchering the hell out of it, guaranteed, joining the board of as well. So Reggie's 14 years experience in Nintendo is a huge asset, as I mentioned, and gives them some strong legs to stand on. Now, that is true. I don't know how this, again, with this situation still not being determined as to when or how or when we're going to get a stronghold, this can really hurt GameStop bad, even with Reggie on there, because there's nothing that they could do. It's really nothing that Reggie can do. He could come up with all the ideas as possible, but if they're not open to present those ideas or to work on those ideas, and if nobody else is working and making money, how the hell is that going to happen? You know, but in hindsight, I hope GameStop has enough capital to be able to weather this whole entire thing. There are companies out there who will not be able to weather this type of thing if this goes on for any longer. There will be some fallout. I mean, people need to understand the severity of this situation. This could be financially, economically huge. If you don't know, go back on a TED Talk, I believe. Bill Gates predicted all of this was going to happen. But if his numbers is correct, he's correct that this is exactly what happened. This is exactly what's going to happen, and we weren't going to be prepared for it. And what he didn't predict is who was going to be in the White House, and he didn't predict that that person in the White House was going to fire all the important people that could have prevented this. So, in hindsight, I hope he was right about that, but I hope he's not right about the actual numbers, because the numbers that he predicted or estimated was scarce. It is. I don't mean to scare anybody on it, but like, it was, go watch that TED Talk. It is amazing that he predicted that something like this was going to happen 4 years down the line. Wow. Why aren't we putting stock on him? Who, by the way, he actually quit Microsoft as board of directors just recently. So that's a thing. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, or whether he basically did it because he knew it was going to happen, or I don't know why he strategically decided to resign as board of directors at this time. That to me is it's weird. The timing is just weird and somewhat suspect, in my opinion. You know, this is it really comes off as some Lex Luthor type shit. To be honest. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of that. That's just the timing of that is just crazy. So excuse me. So in other news, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is coming to PC this summer. Whether you'll be able to afford it or not, that's a whole nother thing. But this will include the full game, the Frozen Wilds expansion pack, the Karja Storm Ranger outfit, and Karja Mighty Bow, the Karja Trader pack, the Bannock Trailblazer outfit, and Bannock Culling Bow, Bannock Traveler's pack, Nora Keeper's pack. So if you have not played this game, I don't know how, they didn't give the price. The price was not announced as to how much it's going to be. I'm hoping that they'll down the price maybe $20 for new players, because it's been around for quite a bit. So if you have not played this game is a great adventure. It is a great adventure. Truth be told, I nearly beat the game, but I didn't beat the entire game, and a lot of that was just because of burnout. And burnout not because of playing the game too much, burnout because of the big debate that we had way back when this came out. Because if you guys remember when this came out, also what came out was Zelda Breath of the Wild. And if you guys remember, there was this huge online debate about which one was the better one. And truth be told, by the end of the year, when all the awards came out, everybody, majority of people who played both voted Breath of the Wild. Very understandably why. Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn has a lot of similarities, but where you contrast that is limitations. Because while Zelda Breath of the Wild can virtually do everything and anything, wherever you go, Horizon Zero Dawn had Aloe not being able to do a lot of things. For instance, just climb a wall or a mountain or whatever. Excuse me. He wasn't able to do that. So that was the one thing that limited to it as well. There were some other things, physics, logistics, things that made sense in there. Like if you were playing Zelda Breath of the Wild and you're traveling from one warm area, or whether you were traveling to a cold area, if you travel to each area, you got to change clothes based on the area that you're at and the climate that it is. If you're in the Arctic and you only got a t-shirt on, you're gonna pay the price for that. It's gonna affect you. So they make you put on warmer clothing that will not affect you. That's real. If you go into the heat, if you go into the desert and you're wearing that stuff that you're wearing in the Arctic, you're gonna heat up, and either you're in the Arctic unprepared or you're in the desert unprepared. It's gonna affect your HP. Your health is gonna deplete very rapidly as a result. So you got to wear the appropriate clothing, which really engulfed you into the world and universe because of that. And I feel like if I ever play that game again, I'm going to not be around for quite a while because I'm going to be so engulfed. If I play Horizon Zero Dawn, the suspense of disbelief is not as good as the suspense of disbelief in Breath of the Wild. Because even like if you go on a winter, like in the Arctic area as Aloe in Horizon Zero Dawn, she's still hot. And not just like visually, like she is incapable of like feeling the air around her. So it kind of takes you away in comparison. So, but it's not to say that it's not a great game. It's just nowhere near to that point. And I had these arguments with people who were trying, you actually know how people actually lie to justify their means or to try to win the argument. That's what happened in this situation. I had somebody who claimed that they played Zelda Breath of the Wild but still said that Horizon Zero Dawn is better. And I'd asked the person, because especially online, when people lie and say something, they try to think that when they make the claim that they have done something or they are something, that's going to shut the whole entire conversation down or the debate down. And sometimes that is the case because people aren't assertive enough to actually go further and challenge them on what they say. And I have a method for this because in college they tell you if somebody tries to pull that on you, they teach you when you're doing research papers and all this stuff. It's like, where's your source? That's all you got to do. And when you do term papers, you got to have a source. When you do essays, you got to have a source. When you do articles, you have to have a source of where you get these claims from or who said what or whatever. You have to have source. When you work in the media, you have to have source all the time. So I asked the person, if you play this game, can you give me a more detailed description of your gaming experience, like control schemes, stuff like that? And the person could not do that. And right there and then they tried to defend themselves by trying to vilify me by saying that we're supposed to be cool and all this stuff, so you're gonna say that. I'm like, nah, I'm a person who likes to seek truth. So in hindsight, if you're telling the truth, you should be able to give me a little bit of more of detail of your experience of playing the game. They could not to this day. And they decided to flee off. The same thing that happened with a guy who, during the COVID-19 situation, and everybody's trying to find information or whatnot, claimed that he worked in the medical field. even though his profile showed nothing of him ever working in the in the medical field, let alone he's hiding behind pictures in all of his pictures. So I have no idea what this guy looks like or what he's done. Normally, I know people who work in the medical field. Everybody's proud of their work in the medical field, and they a lot of times post on their social media page of them working in the medical field. There's no proof of that. One of my best friends, my old friends who passed away, he was a heart surgeon. He would always show that, and he's a comic book fan. So he would he would have no trouble talking about his fandom, but also embracing his career. That's a honorable career to have. So no matter whether you're working as a medical assistant, a nurse, or a doctor or a surgeon, whatever, it's a time honored field. So why wouldn't you want to put that on there? Even if you're considered an introvert or not, I would find it hard for you to not want to express your understanding of this. So the dude, claimed that he is, but he never continued it off, and in fact he deleted his page. So I'm like, did he lie just to try to stop the conversation and didn't think I was going to continue with that? Okay, I haven't heard from that dude since, so there's that situation. But I digress. Horizon Zero Dawn is a really great game to have, and if you're a PC fan, you're going to enjoy it with all your 8K resolution and frames per second and whatnot, so you'll enjoy it even more. Greater detail and all this stuff and all that jazz. So be on the lookout. That's going to be interesting. Again, this was news that I was talking about from last week, but due to the situation, I don't know if this is actually going to come out, but there's rumor that two Nintendo Direct showcases are going to be coming. The first is rumored to be for the Nindy games, which is their independent games on Nintendo, coming soon. Hopefully, one of them was going to be Shovel Knight's Dig, and the other one, hopefully, Retromania Wrestling, which was already talked about in our Select Start podcast. Shout out to Mike Heyman out there, who is the founder of Retro Soft Studios, and he already announced that there was going to be a pre-order for the games, and I already paid for my pre-order, so it's coming out in July. That should still be good. They should be able to still work on that because they're working at home. They can work in studio, studio and all the stuff. So I believe that game, I will find out for sure. I don't think that game is going to be affected in a sense of they already got the pre-orders way before this whole entire thing. So I think it may be affected after that, but I'll get in touch with him to find that out. But I think he should be good because they're not working in the studio. All the things that they're doing is at home. They're at their home studios or whatnot. So I think they should be okay. But in most indie game companies are in some sort of a home studio being worked on there. So I think they will make it out pretty good. It's whether will they be able to make any profit down the line. But luckily, Mike Heyman was able to actually get those orders out early. So I'm pretty sure he got somewhat of a profit from that in a sense. So that's a good thing. So hopefully they'll announce his game coming soon, or he'll have some type of, he'll be a part of that. But then there is also rumored that an actual official Nintendo Direct is coming a week later. Hopefully it'll be a one with a bunch of new games and not just geared to one. Regardless, either way, I always look forward to Nintendo Direct showcases because they are so great. They have such a great way of presenting games and really know how to do it. Sony has tried it before, and it is always never lives up to the way to do it. But now, because of E3, all the companies are looking to be doing video showcases now because of the situation. So instead of having a live event, they decided they're going to actually do video showcases, much like what Nintendo is doing, to announce all the future games that will be coming out for their respective companies. So I just think that they all need to take a page from what Nintendo does and how they promote their stuff and how they hype and tease things and how consistent they are about coming out with games and announcing release dates. I would say 95% of the games that they talk about on their showcases always have release dates. They have the most release dates of any company that has ever come out and promoted the games for their systems. So I really am looking forward to that. Hopefully it is. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure they will down the line. But man, that is awesome. You know what else is awesome coming from Nintendo too? Their association with Lego. Our last bit of news is going to talk about Lego and Nintendo teaming up to bring us Lego Mario. It is not a video game. This is a actual set that they have come out with. This new Lego set based on the beloved game series is more than just your normal Lego construct. The set actually lets you create a stage-like map so that makes into like a board game. The Mario figure itself is actually a game piece with an LED screen on it to give you certain signals on what to do and what happens as a result of some moves that you will make in the map of the game, of the Lego construct that you create. They will also have Lego figures of Goombas and even Bowser Jr. on here that will be included. They also have some of your favorite things and items such as question mark blocks, warp zone pipes, all of the signature things that you would see in a Mario game. Flag poles, the castle at the end is also there as well. And a little bit more items going to be included. I don't know if this is the start of something and they will keep adding on to this in due time. I think that'll be a great idea to do. But, it looks really cool. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way. It's you can see the video on Facebook. You can see it on YouTube as well. Although there's a lot of adults, and I've had some on our A.C.M.G. Facebook group that said that they want to get this themselves. It looks from the commercial that this seems like this is something targeted for a much younger demographic, and that's fine. This is one of those things that this is good to be a parent, because you can always say that you're getting it for the kid, but in hindsight, you're really probably getting it for yourself, or probably will buy two of them in this case. So it looked really cool. So go out of your way to check it out, folks. That will do it for what's new in the world of A.C.M.G. and hopefully, as the weeks to come, we'll have more news in the world of A.C.M.G. But if not, we may have to change the format of this show around to probably only to talk about maybe some news, or just change it around to just do full reviews of shows or whatnot, or even come up with even more talk topics only for this show. So we'll see down the line, but hopefully things will progress for the better. So with that said, we're going to take a break, come back, and talk about the time-honored show that a lot of people I don't think really has credit for. This show should be in there, but we're going to look back at TODD McFARLANE'S Spawn, the HBO show that really changed changed the game for animated series. So we'll do that right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dak Xavier Josiah, the host of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live, the podcast. You want to catch up with all of our podcast shows and hear from some of the hottest names in all of anime, comics, movies, and games, such as...
This is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto.
This is Stephanie Shea, the voice of Sailor Moon.
This is Ruben Langdon, voice of Ken Masters and Dante from Devil May Cry.
Hey there, this is Kyle Hebert, the voice of Ryu from Street Fighter V.
This is Chris Battle, character designer of Teen Titans Go.
Here's your chance to check out all of that and more on TalkTimeLive.com. TalkTimeLive.com provides all of our A.C.M.G. content with new and previous episodes, exclusive interviews, articles, and much more. Visit TalkTimeLive.com and let us help you learn to let go, live life, and love all things A.C.M.G.
Talk Time Live.
Hey, what's happening? This is T.C. Carson, and you are listening to A.C.M.G's Talk Time Live. And this is Kratos. Keep listening.
Do it.
And now it's time for our talk topic of the week. Ready? Fight!
All right, folks, we are back with our talk topic of the week, and we're going to look back at one of the greatest comic book series in America of all time, and that is TODD McFARLANE'S Spawn. Before I do that, I did miss out mentioning that, while the kids have Frozen 2 on Disney Plus, I would be remiss to also announce that the anime that we talked about a while back, Future Avengers, is available on Disney Plus as well right now. So you go out of your way to check that out. I haven't seen that series yet, and I'm actually going to probably do a review on that series. It's the first time it's been in America ever. So it should be fully dubbed, and the anime should be there available. It looks awesome. I'm looking forward to check it out. So I will be reviewing that and on it for a later episode of this show. Again, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. So eventually this might be all that we talk about here. But there's plenty of content to review. But this talk topic, we're going to talk about Todd McFarlane's Spawn, which aired on, I believe in 93. Let me check. Todd McFarlane's Spawn HBO. That premiered in 1999. I'm sorry, 97, May 16th, 1997, which is one of the hottest periods ever for comic books and pro wrestling. I might add, it was like the boom period for both those in those genres. But May of 1997 to May of 1999, 3 seasons of this aired. Amazon Prime has it available right now. If you own Amazon Prime, you can watch it anytime you want, and you get to look back. If you've never seen this before, you're going to find out why you should go check it out. While the character design is not up to par to like some of today's stuff and what DC is doing, it's more look like what they were doing. I think it's better looking than what X-Men was doing, but what it has done, because it was on HBO and Todd McFarlane was overseeing it, it gave him full creative control to make it exactly what we read from the comics. In a sense, the grittiness, the gratuitous, the dark and gritty, feel of the show. It felt like the actual comic coming to life, which was something that we wanted to see in X-Men, but we couldn't because, it was under Saban and Fox, so they had to tweak it a bit to not give it what we got from this. Like, when you read the Spawn comic book, which was done by Todd McFarlane, you felt like this whole thing just came out the pages just because of the acting, the writing. And I think from episodes 1 to 4 was directly, and I mean directly, from the first few issues of the comic book coming to life. And I think it just went a little bit differently at that point. Or I don't remember all of the comic book that I read, but it was an amazing, amazing show. It, for some reason, I forgot was the reason why they canceled it early, but the final season was only 6 episodes. But to their credit, they used that time to make it into a story that kind of sort of, it was open-ended. They left it open-ended, but not like in a cliffhanger type of way, with the exception of Spawn bearing a child to his wife. And that was supposed to be, when Wanda had his child, that kind of was supposed to be the means for another season to see, because all of the angels are going to be coming after that child, which means they're probably going to have to kill Wanda or whatever. And that left it open-ended. What kind of closed out was the storyline with I believe Sam and Twitch, which was the detectives, which was a really, really good side, sub-story to the whole entire thing. So this show was so awesome, and a lot of it had to do with the performance of Keith David as Spawn, who, by the way, is reprising his role in the Mortal Kombat game. Todd McFarlane, again, overseeing his intellectual property. Ed Boon always liked to give fanfare to his gamers and fans, regardless of whatever happened in Final Combat. So Keith David is reprising the role in the game, but he was the original voice of the animated series here. And man, was this ever such a great performance by Keith David. Who also, by the way, is also Goliath on Gargoyles, if anybody doesn't know either. So like, aside from Peter Cullen being one of the most dynamic voices of our generation in Optimus Prime, Keith David gets much credit as well. His voice is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. There were also a lot of other great cast members on this show as well. Some that people know too. Who else was in here? There was a Ming Na Wen was in this as well, in this series later on, between I think the third and the fourth the second and the third season. She played in here. She played as Lisa Wu in here. Todd McFarlane plays himself as the narrator for the show. in his also creepy voice as well. When he says now turn off the lights and now here's Spawn, turn off the lights, you take that in the contents of the day. That never sounds right. But Eric Roberts was in here. You had God, who else was in here? Terry, who played Terry Fitzgerald? By the way, Terry Fitzgerald, who I believe was the name of an actual guy that Todd McFarlane knew, he was in here. That's interesting that they don't have the name of Terry Fitzgerald in here. That's crazy. Oh, here he is, Michael Beach, who plays almost a bad guy in everything. He wasn't on this one. So, I mean, there was a lot of great voices in here as well. I believe it or not, I believe Fred Tatasciore was actually here. Is somewhere doing additional voices in here too. Terry Fitzgerald, the actual guy, was also the co-producer of the show, who also was named, I believe, again, Tom McFarlane named him after here as well. The great thing about Spawn was that you had a guy who was just damned for all that he's done, and he's trying to get back, to his wife after, being a mercenary for so long under, the wrong people. And he ended up going, all this was a setup for him to go to hell and become a hell spawn and to come back as a hell spawn. And it's just so awesome because they, the devil wanted him to come back, let him come back to see his wife again. But it was 5 years later, and she's already married to his best friend and had a kid with his best friend and such. And it just tortured the hell out of him for years. And while he's trying to be the new soldier for Malbolgia, who is basically the devil, he's trying to have morality, and you got people who are trying to bring him back to his senses along the way. This was such a great deal. The really interesting thing that I never got the answer to was about the show was, and I'll bring that up. I'll actually hold off on that in a minute because that's something I got to bring up. But each episode was so intently, the narrative of each episode was so great. It was very rated R. This was not a kid show by any stretch. The nature of it, I mean, there was like a lot of cursing, a lot of nudity to it, but it was in your face. There was topics of racism in here. There was some, just very adult natured content in here. I forgot as to why this show actually ended so early. I don't know why it was, but this was at the hottest point of Image Comics right now. And by the way, shout out to Jay Nixon as well on our A.C.M.G Facebook group, because he also excuse me, he pointed me to a actual documentary that's also on Amazon Prime called Image Revolution, which covers and documents everything from the rise to the fall into the rise again of Image Comics, right up to when Robert Kirkman came in and started The Walking Dead. It's an amazingly well done documentary. I highly recommend it. What they didn't do is point out something that I question about this episode, about this series, and maybe in actuality, maybe it did answer it, because what happened is on, I think, episode 3, 4, 5 of the first season, Jason Wynn actually hires Chapel to be the mercenary, the hired assassin to kill Spawn in the alleyways. If any of you guys are fans of Image Comics, especially during its inception in the 90s, you know that Chapel is one of the founding members of Rob Liefeld's team Youngblood, which was supposed to be Image version of the Avengers, but owned by the government. They were government created and government owned group. And the thing with that is that Chapel's supposed to be a good guy. In the show, he's a bad guy. My thing is, how did that get approved by Rob Liefeld? Did Rob Liefeld approve of that? Because that was one of the things that was, and I think it was like 4, 5, or 6, because that was after after Spawn defeated Overkill, which was one of the original enemies that he wind up facing. And Overkill came in on episode 3, No Rest, No Peace. Chapel came in, I think, shortly afterwards, because, like I said, they covered everything. They covered everything from Overkill coming in to face Spawn and Spawn doing away with him. Then they also had the side story of the senator trying to work with Jason Wynn to get rid of the evidence of his association with the serial killer who's killing kids. You guys remember for those who read that book, remember the ice cream man who was killing kids it was just so gritty. Spawn was not for everybody. And in the 90s, it was so ahead of the time because it was so gratuitous that those who've never read the Spawn book and probably were even Christian based did not like the stuff that was happening on this show. So this, Cain, the guy, there was the preacher Cain that was killing people. You had what was it? The ice cream man that was killing kids, and who was actually the son of the senator. So they were trying to hide that situation. But along the lines, Chapel came in, and that was never in the book. That was never in the original book. So I am still clueless to why he was added in, and I thought that I would get that answer in the documentary Image Revolution. I feel like I kind of did, in a sense that during the time, of course, there was the fallout of all the members of Image that was coming in, and Rob Liefeld began to have a swelled head, if you will, from what they were saying, and you could kind of see it. But remember, it's a topic Rob Liefeld was a kid when he came in, and a kid getting that type of rock star status, you kind of see it happen. You see it happen today, and lo and behold, somehow, some way, Chapel comes into this series as a bad guy. Now, granted, if this was some type of poke back at Rob Liefeld as a result of the animosity that Todd and the rest of the guys had for him, that's one thing. But he still has to be allowed to get Chapel in there because it's owned by Rob Liefeld. Todd McFarlane, even though it's from Image Comics, has no right to put it in. That was the whole point of Image Comics in the first place, was that they all had their own rights, their own ownership of each of their intellectual properties. And he would have to get that approval from Rob Liefeld in order to do that. So that's where that situation lies. So I don't think if he was to get Chapel in there, it would have to be in the permission of Rob Liefeld as to what can be done with him, how they're going to portray him, and all that stuff. So otherwise, he would get sued immensely by Rob Liefeld for that. And that's never been, there was no record of that ever happening. So I think he did get approval from Rob Liefeld in this case. And yet I still wanted to know why was the decision to make Chapel a bad guy here. And none of this led to anything because it never led to anything. There was no mention of the Youngblood. There was no mention of him being associated with Youngblood. None of this came about. So this was probably one of the biggest mysteries for me of the series, and it's still unanswered. It's still an unanswered thing. I even asked any people in the A.C.M.G. Facebook group. None of them were able to get that answer. None of them. Oh, he came in. I think he came in the beginning of, or I think the end of season 1 and beginning of season 2. Because Chapel also had a history with Al Simmons as well, and Al Simmons being Spawn, because they were both working for the CIA and they both traveled, took tours to do special missions and whatnot for Jason Wynn and all this stuff. So there's that connection, but there's still nothing mentioned about him in association or any mention of Youngblood anywhere in this. So I thought that was really, really weird. I thought it was insanely weird here. But you also get Angela and the Angels in here. Angela, who is now a part of the DC universe. No, she's not a part of DC. She's part of Marvel now. She's been transferred to Marvel. Again, that's a whole thing right there. So that situation is crazy. But the series only ended after 3 seasons. but some three great seasons, 3 absolutely great seasons. And I think it ended in a way that it was somewhat of a cliffhanger, but not necessarily a cliffhanger in a sense. But man, if you have not seen this, and if you don't understand why everybody's so hyped and been wanting Spawn to come back in some form or fashion in the video game world, and why we want another movie again, because the movie was actually awesome too. We don't talk about enough of how really good that movie was. I mean, it was a cult classic, for God's sake, because although it didn't make as much money as it probably could, and I think it could now, it could probably make more money now if they redo it again. But Michael Jai White also did a great job playing Al Simmons, aka Spawn, on the movie version by New Line Cinema. And I think that actually, doesn't get talked about enough. So if you don't understand why comic book fans love this series and love the comic book, go out of your way. If you own Amazon Prime, go out of your way to check that out. It's the entire series is available on there. And just it'll blow you away if you've never seen this movie before, series before. Like not from a character design standpoint or a animation standpoint, because there are tons of comic book TV shows and movies that, from a visual standpoint, blows us out of the way. But just the narrative and the storytelling, for the 90s, this probably was the best comic book TV series, animated TV series during the 90s, because every bit is matched up to what you read on the books. And it was awesome. It was just absolutely beautifully done. I just wish there were more. I wish they were able, even if they did, and that it closed on a really good. It did. I've seen worse cliffhangers out there that is left. Like, we still haven't seen Thundercats. Thundercats ended way worse than this did. Like, they left us hanging on such a bad note on that one. Dragon Warrior from back in the day, the anime, which is based on Dragon Quest, the video game, ended on a really stupid cliffhanger. So this one, not so bad, but it's worth checking out. It has an open-ended ending to the series, but I'll take that better than any of the other ones that I've mentioned. There are more out there from there, so go out of your way, check it out. So Amazon Prime, you won't regret it. It is so great. It is so great. It is so gritty, and it's not for the weak at heart. I'm telling you this now. It is real. Even to this day, I watched the entire series. It still had me like, damn, this is heavy. This is a heavy, heavy show to watch. So this is awesome. This Tuesday, again, Spawn comes out on Mortal Kombat 11. So, and why not binge on this, get hyped for that to come out and enjoy all of it. And even the movie that New Line Cinema did with Michael Jai White. Enjoy all of that, man. And hopefully, I don't know what the hell's going on. My thought was that Todd McFarlane was going to come out and mention that there was going to be a Spawn movie coming out, because the idea for this was like the idea for all this whole entire thing and the release of this coming out and last on the DLC pack for Mortal Kombat was that there was going to be any talk of a Spawn movie mentioned in here, and we got nothing. I mean, there's been nothing trending. So the day that they were supposed to do Final Combat, before they canceled it, due to the COVID-19 scare, Todd McFarlane was supposed to be there to premiere and announce Spawn. None of that happened due to the circumstances. I don't even know if he actually even was there in studio to attend. So I don't know if they're postponing it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Nobody knows anything. Especially even now, because even if he's in production of it, they don't know whether, they'll be able to go in production now because everything's so shut down. So, well, for at least we get the release of him on Tuesday for now. So if he has an excuse as to why he didn't do it, now is the right time due to the fact that everything is going on right now. So you got away with this. You got away with it this time. Definitely got away with it this time. So folks, that will do it for this edition of Talk Time Live. I hope you got a chance to enjoy it. I hope that I was able to take your mind away to some extent. Probably not, because we were talking a lot about the situation. But down the line, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. We just got to be patient. We got to stay calm. We got to keep ourselves safe. We got to keep everybody else safe out there. Be smart. Be very smart. Don't be a dumbass going out and risking other people's lives or your own. Or especially because there are older people who have an immune system that may not be able to handle this. So think about people. Don't think about yourself. Do the right things. Get in and get out. Do whatever they tell you to do at this time. And just wait it out, because the better you do, the better the prevention and the better chance that we can get this done. If you're causing more havoc out there and causing more people to be contracted, if you are contracted, if you are tested positive, then you are prolonging the process of them actually curing this or preventing this. So please do the right thing and be smart out there. As far as the show, as far as what I could do right now is that we're going to keep doing this as long as we can, as far as information wise and news wise. Otherwise, we'll probably have to just, start just doing the show. It'll be shorter shows, and we'll do reviews of, things that are, that we watch or whatever. There's a ton of content on Disney Plus. There's a ton of content on Amazon Prime we can look back at and check out and whatever. There's never any lack of content to talk about. But as far as news, it might be a little bit less than that, but we'll keep it moving, and we'll try to keep you guys entertained as much as possible during this time, because everybody needs something to check out. So hopefully that'll happen. So we'll keep you posted nonetheless. So folks, you can always find us here on TalkTimeLive.com. You can check out all our interviews on TalkTimeLive.com. You can check out our show on you can check out our interviews on TalkTimeLive.com/exclusive. You can also check us out and subscribe to us on all streaming, all the top streaming outlets such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Pocket Cast, and all Amazon devices as well. So there's no shortage of us here to keep up on what we're doing and who's going to come on the show at all costs. So you never know. So we're going to keep it moving as best we possible, and just have faith. Have faith. Stay strong. We will get through this. Trust me. Regardless of this, this is not the end of the world. I have to think about it. I'm like, is it? No, this is not the end all be all. We just got to stay strong together and just be smart. But this is, if any time to be social on social media, is now, to keep your sanity. So what better way to do it than come to the A.C.M.G. Facebook group, especially at facebook.com/groups/ACMG1. Again, please come as you are with a legit website. Answer all the questions that we have. You got to have a Facebook page of 5 years or more. You got to be of 18 years or older. And your page got to show some legitimacy, some interaction of friends and family, some pictures of you posting from like years on down the line or whatever. And it has to show some fandom, show some pride of your fandom, whether you're an anime fan or an otaku, a comic fan, movie lover, video gamer, all that. It has to show something of that nature. And then you got to answer all the questions as well. So definitely check us out there, folks. That will do it. On behalf of myself, this is Dak Xavier Josiah saying, learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is A.C.M.G. presents Talk Time Live. I am out of here, folks. Please stay safe and have a great week. Take care. Music for this episode is provided by Game Chops. Check out these great chiptune tracks and more at music.gamechops.com.